A Huey helicopter from the Royal New Zealand Air Force. Stepping out, balancing on its skids, maneuvering to take an L position for a good kick-off, are men of the Singapore Armed Forces. They have 2 seconds to hit ground. That descent was poor, as all should have hit the ground simultaneously. They have to practice the descent. They regather their ropes, free them of twists, make a coil, gather the 10-pound weight, quickly discuss the problems, and prepare to reboard the helicopter. These men are perfecting an insertion technique, a technique whereby soldiers can be dropped quickly behind enemy lines. Rappelling by helicopter is but one insertion technique. Other techniques are also being taught in New Zealand. These are our commandos. New Zealand is a place where forested mountains drop suddenly to the depths of the deep blue sea. This is the Vatipu area in North Island. Surprisingly, it's a place where subtropical vegetation abounds. Foothills are covered by puketawa trees and flax bushes. The pied stiltbird and wild cows roam the marshes. The stony grey-green foothills are best approached by heavy-duty vehicles. It is a landscape of magnificent, unspoilt features. It was in a setting such as this, but with rarefied air and a cold and incessant wind, that the techniques of cliff climbing were taught to the SAF Commandos. This is unlike mountain climbing for sport and adventure. The commandos having to master penetration techniques and to scale cliffs without aids like axes, iron hooks or pitons, and nail-studded boots. They have only ropes to assist a climb and to arrest a fall. They must learn to use bare hands for balance, to use their heads for judgment, and willpower to reach the top. There's a sequence in climbing. The leader moves across the cliff face diagonally, never straight up, then secures the rope with an anchor man. The second man joins him. The rope is secured, and the third man moves up. Lau Tiao Hiu, national serviceman from Bukit Panjang, talks about cliff climbing.
The techniques they are teaching us here in New Zealand is a 3-point contact climb, where at any one time, you can only move one leg or one hand, while the other legs and hands must be on the wall for support and balance. Now we must remember not to hug the wall. So we are just put our weight on our 2 feet and the hands are on the wall just for balance. Now before you get on to the next grip on the wall, you must test the hold. You might get rocks as big as your head and you can literally pluck them off the wall, while you can get stones as small as your fist and they can hold your whole weight on it. Now we have a safety man at the bottom and he is known as the belay man. Now whenever the climber is falling down, he will have to shout hold, so that the man or the belay man at the bottom will know what to do. He will just hang on to the rope and the climber won't fall straight to the ground. Now you see the cliff here is pretty difficult to climb, but we got to practice on it in order to raise our standard up to a satisfactory level.
Only a rope looped round a jagged piece of rock and belayed provides security. Small rocks are all that the hand can grasp. Worse, the rocks are wet.
Whoa!
Rescued by the belay. Using hand for balance, breathing rhythmically, fighting fear, not looking down, this man continues the climb. This time he uses as much boot sole as possible in contact with the rock. Planning a route 2 or 3 steps ahead, using feet and legs to carry all the body weight, he gets nearer the top. Rappelling is the process whereby the climber lowers himself by sliding down a climbing rope. Both climbing and rappelling have to be mastered by the commandos. The rope is the lifeline. It is 1 1/4 inches in circumference. It's made of nylon and has a tensile strength of 3,450 pounds. It has to be checked against fraying and abrasion. In handling, it's important to prevent it from twisting and developing knots. The carabiner or snap link, through which the double rope passes to the belayer below, is really a small aid when a commando stands on the brink of a precipice. Using bare hands, opening and clenching, he slides to the ground. Vatipu is 64 miles from the administrative headquarters of the SAF contingent. The headquarters itself is located in a small peninsula some 40 miles from Auckland, North Island. Distinguished visitors to the military camp come by helicopter. It was to this Bangapura camp, first established in World War I and used by Allied forces in World War II, that Mr. S. Rajaratnam, Minister for Foreign Affairs, came to see the progress of the SAF contingent in its training. He first inspected the camp quarter guard, accompanied by Captain Gui Peng Hong. Captain Jim Tyre, officer commanding the 1st Ranger Squadron, New Zealand Special Air Service. He's briefed that 142 men, both regulars and national servicemen, are receiving instruction from the Air Service Squadron, which has seen action in Borneo and Vietnam. Captain Gui Peng Hong, SAF Contingent Commander.
You see, the training is arranged in such a manner that we have a circuit over a period of 7 weeks, with 6 activities going on concurrently, each lasting 7 days, with a day in between for traveling. Now, over this period, the instructors which I have at the 6 different locations will have the opportunity to come across 6 different groups of men. Now, these 6 different groups will provide them with sufficient training in instruction of the various subjects, and hopefully when we return to Singapore, my instructors will be fairly competent to conduct similar training when we get home.
Reefing over, Mr. Rajaratnam was shown the Clever Arias canoe used in small boat training. Its principal advantage is the low silhouette it achieves in water. Combined with its lightness, it is a useful aid in seaborne insertion operations. Captain Jim Tyre of Taff Maori comments on training problems.
Well, weather is always a problem in New Zealand, particularly for people who come from a tropical environment. They find that our climate is much, much colder than theirs. And in such activities such as small boating, where they've been involved in capsize drills and becoming immersed in water, this is always a difficult thing for them to be able to accept. The other thing, of course, which is affected badly by weather is cliff climbing, because you just can't get on the cliffs once they become wet with rain. But the soldiers have tackled the training with a commendable enthusiasm. They've worked extremely well. They've shown themselves capable of adapting to the different training that we've been giving them, and we're very pleased with the way they've been working.
The first day's training in small boating. The men have first to pass a swimming test. Then they practice on land the intricacies of changing cockpits, launching and beaching the canoe in heavy surf.
Put your hands forward. You must, number one, must stow his paddles, then you can change places with him.
How to change cockpit, keeping weight as low as possible.
Okay. Notice the position of his feet and his two arms enable him to keep the canoe into the waves, into the sea, and it stabilizes the canoe. Oh!
Launching and beaching techniques vary. On sandy beaches, you come head-on. On river banks, side-on, and in surf, backwards. Correct paddling saves energy. The secret is to achieve a swinging motion from the hips to establish a sort of body contour with the canoe, and let the body roll with the canoe. The change cockpit drill practiced on land is now performed on water. Loss of nerve, clumsy use of feet and hands can turn the canoe over. Now they have to apply capsize boat correction procedures. They surface and attempt to stop the bobbing boat from drifting away. If they have mastered the drill, they would know how to get the boat back on its bottom in the water. Those who fail are towed back to land and drilled. How to get the canoe onto a mother craft is another technique that commandos in canoes have to perfect. This is necessary as, in operational situations, large boats or submarines are used to launch and receive commandos. The procedure is simply one of coming on board quickly, silently, without tearing the bottom of the boat. As the drills are mastered, confidence builds, fear of the elements recedes, and an endurance test of paddling 12 miles is taken as an exhilarating challenge.